it's U.S. Open week, and you know you guys have had an absolutely incredible run. NCAA championships, dominant, broke the points record, hosted the Olympic trials, got a whole bunch of guys on the team, had wild action up and down. You might think it's the U.S. Open. I can relax, finally take a weekend off. Sorry, can't do it. You're going to have to lock in because there's so much you got to pay attention to here. Starting at 57 kilograms, we have 2 big-time recruits in the mix that are going to be future Nittany Lions. First of all, Luke Lillidahl, class of 2024. If you're at the Olympic trials, you've already seen this guy, right? Luke Lillidahl qualified for the Olympic trials by beating an NCAA finalist in Brandon Courtney. He was able to wrestle at the Olympic trials, looked really, really good. What was his win at the Olympic trials?
I don't know.
He had some good ones. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Here's the question, though. Can this guy be the starting 125-pounder for Penn State next year, the 2024-25 season? I think he can, and I think he can do really well at that weight class.
Yeah, I think so too. And we just saw, Braden Davis, true freshman, who maybe didn't have the same hype coming in as Lillidahl does. And Davis was the #1 seed at the NCAA tournament. And so, you think about Lillidahl, he's a guy who can come into the lineup right away, and we feel like he can be an impact not only for Penn State, but he can, be a top contender in the country and at NCAAs.
He can, absolutely. And the other guy that's in this weight class, 57 kilos, is Nate Desmond.
Yeah.
He's ranked second in the country at 120 pounds. He won't be at Penn State for a year. He's got 1 more year of high school at Wyoming Seminary. This is a guy that's got a couple Pennsylvania state titles, then moved over to Wyoming Sem and got a national prep title over Leo DeLuca, who was #1 in the country at the time of their match. So the questions of where this guy fits into the depth chart at 125 are going to be really interesting. But he's got a challenge. He is entering a bracket here at 57 kilos that's ultra deep, where Lillidahl is certainly one of the favorites to win. Desmond maybe on that next tier, but if he has a great performance, if he knocks off some of these guys that he hasn't been able to figure out, guys like Anthony Knox or Jax Forrest, that type of wrestler, all of a sudden you're thinking about Desmond a little bit differently. So you got to pay attention to him at 57 kilos. And you already brought it up, Braden Davis.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, shouldn't he be at 57 kilos? He was the #1 seed at 125 pounds. Well, he's registered at 61.
Yeah.
And he didn't register for this tournament until a couple days before the start of the event. So, what do you make of that, Kozak?
Yeah, you got to think Braden Davis, he's not going to wrestle 125 pounds again if he's entered 61 this weekend. He does have a red shirt available next year, so I'm interested to see how does he look up 8 pounds in weight. And then the speculation goes, well, does he redshirt next year? If he's that good, can he challenge Aaron Nagao? What does the future of Braden Davis look like at 133 pounds? Or is he gonna, he's just wrestling, wants to be a little happier, and he's gonna drop back down to 125.
Yeah, what is the future for Braden Davis and for the Penn State lineup? Because Braden Davis proved this year he's absolutely good enough to go with the best guys in the country, and that could be, if it's true at 25, it's probably true also at 133. And so it's another one of those situations where Penn State's going to roll out an incredible lineup next year. Will it include Braden Davis? It could. Will it include him at 25 or 33? It could. A lot of options. Let's see how he looks here at 61, and if all of a sudden he's just as physical as these other 61 kilo guys, then Penn State fans are probably going to be speculating a lot that he may be moving up. So that'll be interesting. 70 kilos. We got a 2025 recruit, PJ Duke. This guy wins just about everything he enters. The only thing that's been a little bit frustrating for PJ Duke fans is he's had some big injuries throughout his high school
career.
career.
Seen him that much, right?
Yeah. And despite not having seen him that much, he's won just about everything. He's won Fargo, he's won Ironman, he's won Super 32, but we haven't seen him, and we certainly haven't seen him against the type of competition that he could be up against here at 70 kilos. Cannon Webster is a guy that is in this bracket. PJ Duke will have a shot at him. He was a true freshman this year for Illinois, didn't wrestle in the varsity lineup, but did beat All-American Dylan D'Amelio in a dual meet. And last year at this Open, he beat Jesse Mendez. So for PJ Duke fans, you're going to want to follow his path in the bracket and look forward to potential matchups with those really tough 70-kilo guys, in particular Cannon Webster. That's the match that I think will be the real litmus test. And don't forget, PJ Duke, he's still got a whole year of high school remaining. So a lot of development that's happening there, but a recruit that Penn State fans are going to want to be familiar with for the next long time.
Yeah, and Duke, I mean, we've already seen the example of depth at Penn State right now, and with what we're going through and what we're going to see in the next couple of weights. But Duke is like one of those, a great example, just highlights their depth. And it's like, okay, he's at 154, 155 pounds right now. Where does he fit? He is the number one ranked guy in his weight class, pound for pound type of guy. Mm-hmm. Where does he fit going forward for Penn State? Is he their future 157 after this year? Is he going to move up to 65? Could he cut down to 4? It's like the speculation on their lineup. They always seem to make it work, but it's such a good problem that they have, and PJ Duke really does highlight that.
Yeah. If you're looking for another guy that's in that same type of situation, where does he fit? But he was really, really good. Joe Seeley, 74 kilos. Joe Seeley has won a U17 world title. This guy's already been winning at the highest level in high school for years, and now he's wrapped up his high school career at Wyoming Seminary. He'll be an Nittany Lion next year. And where does he fit, right? 74 kilos right now. He's a guy that I wondered, would he think about trying to go back down to 70? But no, he's going 74. So that puts him in the same weight class where we just saw at the Olympic trials last week. Levi Haynes, Mitchell Mesenbrink, Alex Facundo potentially, was in that weight. He could potentially stay down at 165. Where does Seeley fit? It's, again, great problem to have.
Yeah.
This guy, so fun. If you haven't watched him, his style is just all action, and it's been that way for years. In the last 12 months, he's picked up his hand fight, and he's gotten better at the fundamentals, and this, I think, sky's the limit for Joe Seeley.
Yeah, and Seeley's, I don't know if you talked about his competition, but like at the Open, Ladarian Lockett, another young talent, Oklahoma State commit, who was at the Olympic trials, beat Meyer Shapiro. I think that's kind of the match a lot of people are circling, right?
Yeah, but I mean, so many good guys in that weight class. You got, I'm going to forget all the good guys, but you got, I mean, like Joey Blaze, for example, who's got multiple wins over All-Americans. You've got a whole bunch of other guys. So yeah, I think that Lockett Duke match is probably the one that people want to see. But Bo Mantanona's in there. There's all kinds of really, really good. Braden Scholes is in there. There's all kinds of really good guys that are going to make that weight class a whole lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. So moving up to 79. Penn State fans got two guys to watch. Zack Ryder, who's going to be, in State College next year as a true freshman, and then Will Henkel as well, who's just a junior now, just going to be a senior in high school next year. And Ryder's a guy, good freestyle credentials, U17, world bronze two times. And again, 79 kilos, that's about 174 pounds.
Yeah. So
for Zack Ryder, going to be in the Penn State room next year, could potentially be a challenger to start at 174. I know we have, Facundo could be there, or if Carter Strachey's coming back, maybe he's, he talked about going 197, but maybe he goes,
who knows,
174. But Zack Ryder could be an option. He could stay in redshirt, of course, but feels like he's going to be in the lineup within the next couple of years for Penn State.
All right, I'm going to tell you a Zack Ryder story, and you tell me if it reminds you of anybody you've heard of before. Zack Ryder, excellent first 3 years of his high school career, decided instead of wrestling in New York, where he's from, during his senior year, he's going to move to State College, train at M2 with David Taylor, and train in the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club. We've heard that story before. The last two guys that did it,
Levi Haynes,
yep,
and Tyler Kasich, right?
Yes, Levi Haynes. He did that his true freshman year, NCAA finalist, and then won it this year as a true sophomore. Tyler Kasich, he went there, was going to be in red shirt. All of a sudden, Shane Van Ness gets hurt. He moves from 141 to 149, goes into the NCAA championships, loses first round. Oh, bad story. Yeah, right. He wins 7 straight, third place. So Zack Ryder is on that same path. How good can he be? Time will only tell. But yeah, Henkel's in the mix too. He's a guy that I think for Penn State fans you should be aware. For the last year, like almost every tournament he enters, he's in a new weight class. He's continuing to grow. I think this is a guy that could be even bigger than that 174, 184 range. We'll see. We'll find out. A little bit of time though for Henkel to see how big he's going to get.
Yeah. And then up at 86, like Braden Davis was a late entry. Josh Barr pretty much registered at the same time. Josh Barr feel like he's going to be the starter next year at 184 pounds. At least right now, he has that. Has that on him. He should be the 184-pound starter. He was undefeated in his redshirt year at Penn State and beat a couple national qualifiers, didn't wrestle any All-Americans, but as I said, undefeated, kind of has all the credentials coming into college where you feel like he's going to be an All-American contender right away. And this will be the first time we've seen him in a few months, and so it'll be good to see him here at the Open.
Josh Barr, if you're looking for comps, like where does he stack up? His two kind of rivalries during high school that culminated in who's number one matchups. His junior year, it was against Levi Haynes, who we know how good he is. And his senior year, it was Rocco Welsh. They wrestled in the Fargo finals. They wrestled at Who's Number One, and they wrestled the Pittsburgh Wrestling Classic and split. I think Barr won 1, Welsh won 2 in that series. Rocco Welsh, NCAA finalist for Ohio State. So Josh Barr has been on that level since high school, and you got to imagine a year of seasoning at State College. Probably did him some favors. So
yeah, for sure.
Really interesting there. And then the last two recruits that Penn State fans are going to be watching, probably already familiar with, Connor Mirasola and Cole Mirasola. Connor Mirasola was entered at the Olympic trials. He's already wrestled for the first time in State College in the Bryce Jordan Center. He took down Aaron Brooks, which we talked about it in the full preview. Nobody had done that in a year. The last person to do it before Mirasola, we think David Taylor, right? So Connor Mirasola, 92 kilos, and then his brother Cole at 97 kilos. Both those guys are excellent. They've been wrestling on the senior level throughout the last year, and despite the fact that they haven't even been in college yet, it almost feels like they have been because of how many matches we've seen them against high-level competition.
Yeah, for sure. And, we're at the end of the list, but you go through this, and we just saw it at the Olympic trials, and you just saw it before that NCAA tournament. It's like, man, how many NCAA champs is Penn State going to get? And then Olympic trials, how many Olympic team members are they going to get? And they come away with like 4, or the NLWC comes away with 4. And now it's like, man, you go through, they could win 57, 61, 70, 74, 79, 86, 92. They could come away with like 7 or 8, U20 world team, not champs, but the U.S. Open champs here. They could have 7 or 8 guys sitting in the finals of the U20 World Team Trials, and it's just like, man, the depth of Penn State just doesn't stop. It doesn't stop after guys like Aaron Brooks graduate, or it just keeps going. And now we see here the future is just, man, it's so incredible that they can just reload year after year after year.
The depth doesn't stop for Penn State fans, but this is going to be a meat grinder. You got to tune in. You got to watch live. It starts Friday through Sunday. Don't miss it.